We've been around for 10 years. We work with publishers, we work with businesses, and we work with membership organisations. And I'm going to give you a quick overview about what membership organisations that we work with are doing in this space. Now, I know that Times Educational Supplement is not a membership organisation. It's a B2B publisher that to me works like a membership organisation. It's going to an enclosed group of people in a network. You can't buy it independently. So the first thing TES have done is taken a big step, and they've internationalised their content. They want it to be not a UK teachers magazine, they want it to be a global teachers magazine. So what do they then do? Well, they make it available online. You can go to a dedicated TES magazine website, and that gives you this week's issue, jobs, and then all the previous issues going with a search that goes across them all, and that becomes a big library resource. You can just open them, read them in page view format, or search across them. The second thing they do is publish every week's edition to native apps. By native apps, that's currently apps on the iOS platform for iPad, iPhone, and the Android platform for tablets and phones. That is published in two formats. It's published in HTML format, so that it resizes for the phones, but the PDF view is also there for people who want to see it in its original magazine format. Readers can flip between the two. Third version is a web app to use tactically, maybe for audiences where you want to distribute your publication through a link rather than force people through the iTunes store or the Android stores. We built a digital workflow based on our experience. It's like Clapham Junction. It's not the Clapham Junction where it rains and it's overcrowded and trains don't work. It's the Clapham Junction that's always sunny, like this, and it always looks beautiful and it works well. And really what it is you've got all your train lines coming in, all your input, and then you've got all of your destinations on the other side. You can take PDFs, you can get your website content nowadays published, anything that you'd write directly into an digital edition, add video and audio, all the lines come in. Now, from here, they obviously go out to your iPads, your Android, your web browsers, or just reformatted content that can go to your website or other websites. At this point, they can either go through on the slow train that stops, where somebody takes the passengers off, makes them over, restyles them, adds content, attaches something, puts in a video where there wasn't a video, and then publishes it. Or it can go through on the fast line, where basically we know what's supposed to happen to this content, it gets its styling attached, it gets its template attached, and then it gets published through to the other end. It doesn't look like Clapham Junction, it looks like that. It's an online content management system where you manage your assets and do your editing. I'll hand over to Joe.
Thank you. There's PDF and there's HTML view. Now one is a basic image copy of the publication, whereas the other one is a bit more responsive and has resizable text, making it more useful for people who are on mobile devices, which is vastly becoming the majority now. So I'm just going to show you a few of the things that you can do besides this in HTML view that will actually really enhance the engagement of your users with your publication. And the first thing is to include video and audio. With HTML, you can embed video directly into your publication, but that doesn't have to be detrimental to the value of the content of your magazine before video. What you can do is use it to supplement and enhance the content, so that someone who has only 2 minutes available doesn't have to read the whole article, but they're still taking on board and they're still engaging with your publication and making sense of it and moving on, ultimately wanting to make a comment on it. You can also add live news feeds to HTML, so your publication doesn't end up being a static thing published once a week, but your users are having an option to come in day after day and see live news that's published directly from your website through RSS feeds onto your app. What I want to do is, after being stimulated by live news feeds, video and audio clips that can also be embedded, and image galleries, is I want to talk about what they've seen and discuss it with like-minded people who also value the publication. So the result is a social hub. You've put video, you've put all this interactive content directly into your publication for the first time, and you've allowed your readers to engage fully with it. Around the end of July, early August, we made a switch for the pharmaceutical journal. It used to default when you'd open an issue, it would default and open up the PDF page view. And you can see in the July the 19th issue there, 84% of people were staying with that PDF view, whereas 16% were switching to the HTML view, which is only a double tap away. We don't know if those people didn't know it existed, but regards to stats for the text view were very small. So we made the switch, and we decided this in conjunction with the publishers and the editorial team themselves. And we can see immediately the first issue that appeared on the publication after that switch had, still a high percentage of people switching back to PDF view, but there was 55% of them that were now staying with text view. They weren't missing the old PDF view that they'd become accustomed to. The September the 13th issue, we're now starting to see those stats drop in favour of text view. So less people are switching back to PDF view, and 60% are now engaging and reading the text view and seeing the resizable text, looking at the videos that are available there, and ultimately commenting on it too. And more recently, September 27th, we can see again that these stats are only increasing in the favour of text for a while. So now that I've shown you briefly what you can do with HTML, I'm going to pass you over to Esther, who's going to show you how to style it.
So essentially, design options for digital editions are infinite. The only limit is your imagination, and I can imagine that many of you can't afford a large production team and several weeks to produce each edition. And even large magazines that have those kind of resources, I think it's going to take about 3 months to produce this magazine. Even they still have failures. This Tesla Wine magazine it's just launched looks absolutely incredible on an iPad, and it works beautifully. Take it to a phone, and it is literally that big. You can't read the text. So it's really important to achieve a balance between making the edition work across tablet and mobile platforms and making it time and cost efficient. CILIP is a magazine for librarians. They're one of the organisations we work with. As you can see, their magazine is a very traditional magazine. It's got a very straightforward layout. And we've been able to apply some very colourful styles to their digital edition. It works across all devices and platforms. That's the iPad view there, and it translates perfectly to mobile. You can turn it around, you can resize the text. Interestingly enough, it took half a day to produce the style sheets to this, which will then be applied to all the next issues with a couple of clicks. And then it took half a day to digitise, style and publish this edition, which is about 70 to 80 pages. So that's a lot of work that's managed to go through in a very short amount of time.